Oh man, can you believe it? Strange New Worlds debuts next week. So you gotta go back in time to the season 2 finale of Star Trek Discovery. It's gonna be a grand old time talking about such sweet sorrow after the jump.
This episode of Commander's Log is brought to you by Geek Renaissance. Need that special gift for the nerd in your life? Love supporting small business? Look no further than Geek Renaissance. The artist Sephra makes all items by hand and will boldly go to the final frontier for your unique gift. Head over to geekrenaissance.company.site and use the code FLOBITO, that's FLOBITO, to get 10% off your order. Don't forget to follow, like, and share Geek Renaissance on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
That's right, y'all. Chief Communications Officer, Flobo Boys reporting for duty. Look alive, Captain on the bridge. What's up, sir?
Hey, Flobo, how are you, pally?
I'm good, man. This is pretty much a marathon day for you outside of real life. I mean, you've been watching Star Trek like from sun up to sun down. How you feeling?
I've probably watched more Star Trek in the last 2 days than I have in the last 2 months, and I have to say, still love it.
Still love it. I love the very like what Clockwork Orange. Well, your day is not going to be done yet because after this show, after Commander's Log, you have Picarder. That season is still going on, apparently. What's going on today on the Picarder show on the Weber Internet thingy?
We are talking about the penultimate, the next to the last. I'm assuming not everybody knows what penultimate means.
I learned what anti-penultimate means, the one before the next to last, but go ahead.
Really?
I learned today in my... Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I learned that just now. This is one of the great things about being old and still learning things. You're like, I'm forgetting stuff all the time, but I'm still learning.
That's true. That's true.
If folks want to come over to Starbase 80 on Facebook or Weber Internet Thingy, we have a Facebook page as well as our YouTube page. You can watch Starbase 80 supplemental Picard season 2 Picarder. And yeah, on Picarder, me, Joe Townsell, Leo Genesek, and Chris Pitcher will be breaking down. It's called Hide and Seek. Oh, terrible title. For the 9th episode of Picard season 2, and then that brings us to next week, where the final episode of Picard season 2 happens. It's released at the same exact time as Strange New Worlds.
Totally makes sense because Discovery ended when Picard started. So SP supplemental, is that going to be done for Thursdays? Or are you going to do another show there? What's going on?
You know, I really need to talk it over with the boys because Thursdays used to be a good day. It's now, with my new play that I'm in, not such a great day. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll definitely here on Commander's Log, I'll definitely have some news to share about what our next move is, because we're definitely still going to do a show together. We have a lot of fun with that 4-man format. I've been doing the 2-man format here on Commander's Log, but also on Starbase 80, and I love it. Me and Flobito going through the universe, analyzing, reviewing, recapping, throwing out the wisecrackery, if you will.
True.
So
love it. That's what I love doing.
We'll still do that too.
Well, next week's going to be Strange New Worlds. I'm actually going to be on assignment. I'm going to be in Florida that week. So it's going to be a crazy balance of like vacation time to watch Strange New Worlds and do it. So it's going to be a grand old time. What up, Kirsten? Kirsten's an OG, man. She has like 20 different tablets open at the same time. She watches everything. I appreciate the support. But we're doing the season finale of Star Trek Discovery Season 2. It's actually the last episode of a show we didn't cover because on Discovery or Commander's Log, we covered Season 3 and Season 4. This leads to that, and also you get a healthy heaping of Pike. Before we get into everything, I want to have a question for you up the top. 0 to 100. How hype are you for Strange New Worlds next week? Are you cautiously optimistic? Are you gushing? What does Captain feel?
You know, every time I see another piece of what the Enterprise is like with hey Kirsten, with our good old pal Captain Pike. I'm more into it. I'm more excited.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, watching Such Sweet Sorrow parts 1 and 2, I got even more stoked, and I think I had some breakthroughs.
Oh, we'll
You
talk
want to
about
hear
that
them?
in a second. We'll get to
Yeah,
that in a
yeah.
second. But my follow-up
Well,
question, though, before we get
yeah,
to the breakthroughs, is feed to the fire. After slogging through Picard, will Strange New Worlds deliver? I mean, there's a lot of hype going on, going back to old school Trek, but then you still have to give something for the newer fans or reward them for being part of the Kurtzman-verse. Will it
right.
really hit, or will it be a disjointed mess? Prediction time.
I'm gonna say there are a lot of traditional Star Trek fans, and I would definitely count myself as one of them. And definitely not in the sense of Star Trek fans hate everything new. I'm not one of those traditional Star Trek
Nothing wrong with that.
but those guys are out there. And it has been theorized that this is the kind of show meant for them. For anyone who likes really old school Star Trek, one episode at a time, you got a wisecracking, handsome sense of humor captain. You've got basically Mr. Spock is actually there. Spock is
Yeah,
there. I like Ethan Peck's Mr. Spock, so that's great. I honestly think that this one could cover what Discovery doesn't in terms of, oh, well, I really like Star Trek. I checked out Discovery. I didn't like that so much. This
okay.
is me personally. This is other fans.
I got the
Um,
accent.
but you realize I was playing the character.
Right.
But I think it will help us get coverage in terms of the fans. I think it could be a lighter show, which would be great because
Mm.
I'm one of those people who suffers from Doctor Who exhaustion.
Oh, I didn't know that existed. Is that a condition? Is it cured?
And there's no cure. There is a
Mm.
cure. You stop watching Doctor Who.
That's
That's what I
good.
did. And,
Fair
and
enough.
I don't have the exhaustion anymore. Every episode, it's the universe, reality, the fabric of time. These like the biggest concepts in the world every week. It's so in danger. It's so at the brink. You can only tell me that Earth is going to be destroyed like 50 weeks a year. I got to have 2 weeks just for me.
What do you want Doctor Who to do? Like go shopping a week, fix a flat tire? Like the world's in
There
danger, man.
there are smaller stories. And Star Trek has always been good at that. Star Trek's like, look, if things get a little too exhausting, let's spend a little time with one crew member or maybe 3 crew members, and we'll do an A story, a B story, and a C story. Classic Deep Space Nine. Who are they focusing on this week? Is it O'Brien? Is it Kira? Um, you know, I don't love that. I wouldn't say that's what I want, but you got to have your balance.
True,
And
true.
I do feel like Discovery looks for a balance, and I actually do admire that greatly about Discovery.
Yeah.
But if you can get me more into kind of the fun side of Starfleet, I would love that. In addition,
I like the fact you said that the balance of Discovery, because I think Discovery tells a story much like the House of Cards show on Netflix. Their stories are 2-season chapters. So I'm glad we get to talk about this book in now because this is the last season in the present future. The present future before they go to the future. Before we
Yeah.
get into like plot points and cool moments and all that jazz, you said you had some breakthroughs. Tell it to me, Captain.
Okay. When they introduced the very first pilot, so that would be the Cage of classic Star Trek. Jeffrey Hunter played Captain Pike, and Leonard Nimoy played Mr. Spock, but almost everybody else was kind of different on the crew. They had different people on the crew. And one of the characters on the crew was number 1, played by Majel Barrett.
Right.
A lot of people have pointed this out, that number 1, and we find out her name was Una. She is a logical, not very emotional, low-voiced, authoritative character. Spock at the very beginning is wacky. He's
Yeah.
loud, he's excited, he laughs. Actually, and on Starbase 80 coming up this Sunday, we're going to be analyzing short treks that have to do with Captain Pike's Enterprise, and one of them, Q&A, actually does address this.
Also available on Weber Internet Thingy.
I'm very excited about this, so you can join us for Starbase 80 or Weber Internet Thingy for that. But they brought back Una for Captain Pike's, Strange New Worlds series, and she's played by Rebecca Romaine. I was on Rebecca Romaine's show, Pepper Dennis.
Oh yeah, the CW classic.
And she was not very nice.
Oh, I hate that CW. Was it WB? I hate that WB show.
And so when I was told, oh yeah, number one's going to be on the show, I was like, oh, that's cool. Who's playing her? Oh no, not Rebecca Romaine.
Is that going to be difficult? Do you have to like see through it? You have to be like, well, it was a good scene, but it's still Rebecca Romaine, or it's kind of like, well, water under the bridge. Well, what's the?
Here's the thing. I felt this like, I don't want to watch her playing this character. She's not a good enough actor. They're going to give her all these like superpowers. They're going to make her like super cool. The thing that they were saying when they announced that this number one was coming back was like, you think you know her, but you don't. I'm like, oh no, I know her. I spent 2 days with her shooting her show. She was an ass. However, in watching Such Sweet Sorrow on Discovery, I really got into it. I actually thought Rebecca Romaine did a decent job playing this character. I am not always there for the, heroic female character who can do everything. Because I don't even like the male characters that can do everything. Being able to do everything is boring. But,
wow.
But we'll see. I honestly think that she is human enough. She is fallible enough, this character. And Rebecca Romaine played that well. I'm actually, that was a breakthrough for me. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to object to her being there.
Yeah, I'm also curious how that's going to land because it seemed that in TOS, those old scientists, that Spock was the number one if chief science officer. And it was always a logical side to Kirk's cavalier nature. But now you have someone who's literally the number one, or you're going to get some like, I don't know, bureaucracy storylines, which is kind of weird advocating for that. I really hope there's chain of command issues on Strange New Worlds. Oh, goodness.
If I can just jump in really quickly, but one of the things we find out about Captain Pike in Discovery is that he's all about talent and like ideas. Ideas. Give me an idea. I don't know. I don't care who you are. You give me an idea. It's all good to me. So I like that. That kind of works for me. I do think the crew could be a bunch of pieces that don't immediately fit together.
Yeah.
And he's the glue. That would be cool.
You know what? I think this is kind of, and again, I promise we'll get to the show, but I think it's kind of the opposite, or the inverse, not the opposite, the inverse of TNG, right? Because a lot of times it's kind of like problem, and then Picard will be like hot girl, hot Earl Grey tea, hot, and play that order, and they'll come together. But this one's kind of the same thing, but in a very Kirk way. So it's like you're getting that teamwork from Picard, but in a very Kirk way, where it's like, all right, fly good, or whatever he says. So, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, there's an element of Kirk having always taken himself seriously. And of course, Kirk, they've already announced, is like on season 2 of Strange New Worlds. They've already
spoiler alert.
They've already started shooting that stuff.
Please still tune in next week as a
But I'm looking forward to all of that because you can definitely tell me that this is a different kind of Spock, because the Spock that we know from TOS, those old scientists, that's a mature Spock. That's a Spock who went through some stuff.
Yeah.
So this being a younger Spock, a more forming, who he is kind of a guy, that'd be cool. And he's kind of like a hot shot. I really like watching him on the the Pike Enterprise because he's the science officer. He doesn't have administrative duties. He's not there to take over the con. They got number one to do that. So I think it's going to be a little more of a loose cannon, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you have three parts. You have the Spock we all know and love, or four parts. The Spock we all know and love. The Spock, not Spark. The Spock we all know and love. Classically, the Spock from the Cage or the Menagerie, if you ever saw that one. The one from Discovery, the Search for Spock season, because apparently Searching for Spock is all the rage. And now this gap has to fill. Yeah, that's Spock, man. It's like that's the one we found. The walls of space. But now you have like a bridge from Discovery Spock to the Spock, well, at least the Spock we know, and to TOS. So it'd be kind of cool to see how he gets his own stoicism of maturity on top of being a Vulcan, which is kind of cool.
Right. And let's always remember this about Vulcans. Vulcans are always a work in progress. It's not that they don't have emotions, it's that they are constantly trying to find a way to operate above emotions, and they push it all down. And that's going to come into play. Also, his relationship with his wife is going to come up. We see that in the previews. I'm very, very stoked for this show. Anyway, how stoked am I on a scale of 1 to 100? 100.
Damn, I am cautiously optimistic. I feel like whatever they're going to give me, I'm going to like. The color palettes alone, and we'll talk about this more on Starbase 80. I think the short treks really do this. It really feels like you're going on a space adventure. Not to say Discovery isn't that, but to me, I like to think of Strange New Worlds to be a pirate swashbuckling adventure compared to a war show in Discovery. But that's just me. Craig Robinson, what up, man? Thanks so much for your support the channel this week. Craig Robinson means a lot to me. He says, don't forget Kinto Spock. I like them too. Again, I've seen all the J.J. Abrams or Kelvin Trek movies. They're pretty fun. Yeah. People don't really like them. They're not real Trek to a lot of people, but I like them.
They're very Fast and Furious, and I know you dig your Fast.
Hell yeah, bro. Well, here's the thing about Fast and Furious, and again, I said this 5 minutes ago, but I promise we're getting to the episode. Is the first Fast and Furious took itself way too seriously for me. I felt like, okay, you're racing cars, you're not saving. Yeah, you're stealing DVD players, but you're not changing the world. Right. The second one was just a bunch of guys racing in Miami, so that was my favorite one because that was to me the onboard I needed. So when I go back to like TNG and seeing as a 6-year-old kid, a 7-year-old kid, that same Picard sitting in a room thinking really hard about space, I'm like, boo, but seeing like a Klingon war in the first episode of Discovery, I'm like, yes, as Homer Simpson says, crotch grabbingly good. So I totally get it. I totally get it.
There is, and you bring it up so perfectly, that there is a difference between adventure and crisis. That's really what I wish I had said way back in the beginning. For me, Doctor Who was all about crisis. A lot of Discovery has been about crisis, and that's okay as long as you can balance it with people I care about, which is a reason why I will come back. And Discovery's great at that. There are characters on Discovery I love. If you told me they're never going to make another one, I'd be freaking crying my eyes out.
Oh, yeah.
Like an anime character with those like...
The one thing that I know they had to do for Discovery, but I did not like, and I like it, I see it now with season 1 and 2, is a retrofit. I think the original Discovery is such a beautiful craft. I actually want to get a copy of her on my desk. Majestic.
Beautiful ship, yeah.
But let's talk about that balance. Now, Discovery, we know season 3 and 4 is in the future, year 3000. But the reason why they have to go there is the reason why we're here today. Thoughts about Control and Leland as the big bad in season 2. Looking back now, we've seen the Emerald Chain, we've seen the Burn, we've seen everything else. When it comes to villains in the show, what's your feeling about Leland? Did he hit it for you?
I have a hard time with AI being the villain because to me that's abstract. What we're going through right now in Picard season 2, Picarder, is we're dealing with the Borg Queen, and she has a personality. She She can be a mustache twirling villain. She doesn't actually have a mustache. That's just a symbolic thing I'm saying.
If you want to see me do my Sakal impression, make me watch Picard season 2. I just go every week. But sorry, your point.
This is an obvious villain, and Adam Sung is in there as well. Obvious villain. When we meet Leland, he is with Section 31. Section 31 is the CIA of Starfleet. It's the
Black
it's
Ops.
the shady kind of behind the scenes ops, like, thank your lucky stars, you don't have to know what they go through because you would never sleep at night if you knew. Like all this, kind of foreboding, portentous crap. So there's where it starts. Leland himself, I can't even remember the name of the actor. Very unappealing. Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're great in other roles, but when they shoot you in Uggo Vision and you're just like a guy made out of stubble, it's
Alan von Sprangmeyer.
Yep. Alan von Sprang. I never liked the character. I never got why he was important. I didn't feel that Control itself was introduced to us in a scary way. And so many villains are. Heck, the Klingons were scary when they introduced them in Discovery. There were so many ways that it could have made that better. And instead, they just kind of made it like, oh, and now he's been taken over by an AI. An AI, like a computer personality or whatever. It's like, I didn't feel that this villain was ever drawn out well enough that I knew, oh, yeah, that's a villain.
I feel the same way. As much as I love Discovery, and I profess that love weekly or semi-weekly. That's been an Achilles heel for Discovery, I feel. Much like Marvel movies. Everyone loves Loki, but if you think about the role of villains in these Marvel films, they really are one-dimensional, or they have something that's really off. Let's forget for Killmonger. I mean, he was right, but everyone else is kind of like, eh. I really feel like a lot of these big bads don't really hit the way I do. Species 10C wasn't a letdown necessarily, but it was kind of like, okay, great. Emerald Chain supposed to be like a crime syndicate, but the crime syndicate was ran by Margot Kidder's niece. So Leland, to me, again, I felt like I get the idea of the threat, but the package of the threat wasn't threatening.
Yeah, like it could have been worse.
Yeah.
And when you're a writer, when things are bad, you got to make them worse. You gotta, and now granted, I will give this to Discovery. I feel like in the course of their stories, things get very dire. They're not bad at that. But yeah, where's your bad guy here? Where is your inescapable, oh my God, we have to face this guy. There's no getting away from this villain. Where is that? You can say it's there, but it's like, it's so boring. It's just a guy who's got a shaved head and he's just got a big head of stubble. But he's a Computron. All right, whatever.
Jason Statham has entered the chat. But now it's time for a brand new segment of the show. It's called Thank You, Cap John. Because a couple weeks ago, we had saw an episode of Short Treks featuring Princess, now Queen Poe, which I had not seen when I saw these two episodes. And to me at the time, I thought, okay, random Deus Machina, happens to know what's going on. But thanks to Short Treks and your recommendations, this got totally filled out as to why the crew needs to go to the future. Princess Poe, Queen Poe, thoughts about her? She hit for you differently this go around?
So much so differently. I had not watched the Short Trek when I watched it the first time. So yeah, when we watched the Short Trek, you and I, pretty recently, and now seeing her again and those great little like eyes she's got, and she's, she just reminds me so much of like a New York chick. She's got like
just the eyes from
well, she's got like the tattoos and the piercings, and she's just like, she's got that great confidence and just like she got sass. I just love her. So yeah, it actually was really great to see her in the context of, oh, I saw that story with her and Tilly. for the first time to be able to put that out. She is a huge part of this story. Actually, almost every character that they've run into comes back and helps. And I love that about this two-parter. That was a great thing for me.
Now, one of the things I liked about season 4 of Discovery is the return to science, right? After the season 3 emotional thing. I felt like I bought the science better the first time I saw it. Of the, dilithium, the rechargeable can send you out to space. I know it's hard to justify sending anyone out into the future, but did it really, that part, did that make sense to you, or did it go over your head like I did because I'm old?
I gotta say, I appreciated all of that. I thought that they had kind of gotten themselves into a pickle by saying everything that we're doing is 10 years before the original Star Trek.
Mhm.
That means that they can't have technology that's better than. And, one of the things that I wanted to bring up about this one, and I hate that I even care. I hate that I care.
Hate that I care. Hate that I care.
However, I am not in love with the idea, and I know the whole series of Discovery was predicated on this. I'm not in love with the idea that Michael Burnham is Mr. Spock's secret sister.
You're not okay with this?
I've never really bought into that. Mostly because if you told me the story of Michael Burnham, even if she was raised by Vulcans, I don't even mind that part. If you told me that story and she never had a familial relationship with Spock, I would have been fine. I would have liked her just as much as I like her. I wouldn't have checked out of the story at any point. It's this search for Spock thing, this mentioning Spock, all of this thing, I felt was extra.
You think you know a person? We've been working for almost 2 years, Captain. And now, on the eve week of Strange New Worlds, you go, meh, heart is shattered.
Where are we, though? At the end of Such Sweet Sorrow, they actually say it is against the law to remember Michael Burnham is Spock's sister.
Yes. It was against the law to go to Talos 4. We went there too. It's okay. What are laws, man? What are laws?
I mean, they go so far to erase the relationship and the memories and the records that contain the idea that Discovery existed. There was a spore drive, that there was a Terran Empire.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is you people, right? You people caused this because it was out there living its own canon. There, people were like, "Wait a minute, there was view screens in this show, but it's holograms in this show."
Right.
I just want to say, for someone who had very minimal knowledge of Star Trek and seeing Discovery first, I appreciated that. Because when you don't know what Star Trek is, let's say you saw a poster for Star Trek, it's always Spock. Spock is always there. He's like the main guy. Yeah, I remember Picard, but he's like the main. So you know of them. But to me, I thought that was a canon bus I couldn't catch. That bus that went down the road. But you told me there's like a secondary bus that's moving a little slower. That's the cousin or the relative of this character. That to me is not allowed for me to jump on. Now, I bet if Discovery came out this year, they probably would never have done that. But I am so glad they did, because now I want to know about what it means to be human and what it means to be Vulcan. So I get it as like okay, new universe, here you go. But it is kind of necessary. But to hear you say, John, disappoints me so.
I had two attitudes going into Discovery. One was, wait, they're not like making me happy by making Michael Burnham Spock's sister. I didn't ask for that. That was never necessary to me. But the other thing I had going on was, tell your story. Do whatever you want. It's your story.
Yeah, I really felt like there was something in the writer's room, and I'm of course speculating. It was like, we have to meet Seeking Martin Green. She's fantastic, but she can't be full Vulcan because the atmosphere of Vulcan and Navarre doesn't preclude Black people. Let's be honest. Even though there was Tuvok in things, once you have that balance of she's human, and then her parents are dead or whatever, or missing, right?
Yeah,
I
but that's the
loved
thing.
it.
She's an orphan. I mean, that's very Star Trek.
I loved it. I feel like it was overcorrection because I remember when now that I go back and watch the Tuvok episodes, there was a lot of hate about the idea of a dark skinned Vulcan, even though Vulcans were originally green. And yeah, so I'm getting down dark road. Anyway, I just want to say,
I love the fact that there are people from Bajor of different colors, that there are people from all these different planets of different colors, and diversity on a planet. We have that here. We have so much diversity on this planet, so much so that the natives of Australia and the natives of New Zealand are so different.
oh, they are.
Yeah, they are. I mean, most people when they hear that accent go, well, they're the same thing, right? Very, very different. Diversity is how nature works. It's also the Vulcans, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. That's the key to life. That's the key to how things work. So I'm all for that. And screw anybody who has a problem with a black woman being the star of Discovery. Go to hell.
No.
We've been there a long time. And where admirals and captains are of all the different races, all the different ethnicities, all the different genders. And we're there now. And that's a good place to be.
Joe Townsend, the Joe Townsend says, Flobo, I never see you with your headphones. Are you a Vulcan, perchance? That would be highly illogical. Our next question I have, moving on. No, I mentioned I was a Vulcan the entire time. I'm an advocate of Vulcan rights. Okay. We see Stamets and Culber, and it didn't hit me till watching it back, but these guys have been looking for a break for years. They're never getting that vacation.
Yes,
ever.
So
what a tragic love story.
I kind of love that because when you look at the love stories within Star Trek, A, there aren't a lot of them. And B, they always go by these I think of like Miles and Keiko O'Brien from Next Generation and then later Deep Space Nine. And it is such a women are from Mars. I'm sorry, men are from Mars. Women are from Venus. Ooh, it's so like early 90s in its delineation of all men are like Miles. They're not, by the way. Women are like Keiko. They're not at all.
Yeah.
So
I want to hang with the boys, but my shrew of a wife says, watch my children. Oh, it sucks. It's like, woo.
And then the shrew of the wife is like, oh, he's just sitting around moping. I know, I'm going to trick him into going and hanging out with his friends. Like, ugh. The 90s version of Men versus Women was pretty awful.
Very UPN. Remember Pigsty?
Oh my God, Pigsty. Holy cow. Holy cow, Pigsty. Yeah, I remember it well. I think I watched it 5 weeks or something. And I was like, I can't hang with it.
That's the inaugural season of UPN. That's all John and I do when his cameras aren't rolling. His UPN references. Platypus Man's up next.
We were there. We were there.
We were there, but
I was on Homeboys in Outer Space. The first
he
version.
was, and you gotta get the pilot. It's really true. He looked like $1 million, handsome fellow, just the best jawline on the planet, fiery red hair, just working on his screen. It was great.
I pretty much was that show's Miles O'Brien, and I think they were like, boring.
That's what I do. But I still love when he says particles, which is so Irish. But yeah, this poor tragic love story. I know in the end of season 4, they're like, we're taking a break after this too. This time it was Culber. Yeah. Are they gonna have a chance to relax? Or are they just gonna put them through the ringer forever and ever and ever?
Well, I mean, it's so funny because entertainment. People being happy is not good entertainment.
Oh yeah, but you can take a time in there, have a happy phase, and have something else go down.
Well, and that has happened. Like, I loved when we were watching Such Sweet Sorrow parts 1 and 2. It looks like they're breaking up, and they are coming out of a very hard time where Culber was dead, and then they brought him back, and now he's a different person. And how do you go back to your relationship when you've been through so much stuff? And and maybe it'll never happen. So he and Stamets are going their own separate ways. And then as the attack from Section 31/Control happens, they reunite, and it's a beautiful thing. And I got to tell you, I've known a lot of very heteronormative guys watching the show, and I'm always so happy that they feel the way I feel, which is, they're a cute couple.
Really? Because Sam's is kind of uptight, man. I'm like, Colbert, bro, you could do a lot better. And then they go to the future, and it's like 70 crew members. I go, whoops. At a time, Colbert, you had options. No, you're just kind of stuck with them.
Oh, I don't know. It's a pretty gay universe out there.
Okay. You see, like, what are the humans? They're like warriors on Earth. They're like, poor. I'm like, dang.
That's true. That's
but
true.
I understand. They are pretty cute. Yeah.
They're hardcore on Earth. You know, I'm just saying. They have a family now. You know, they adopted Adira and they adopted Gray. So, there is a line where Hugh comes back to Stamets and he says, "You're my family, and I'm going wherever you're going." And that's why he goes into the future. I'd forgotten he was never intending to go to the future, but he did it because Stamets is going. And that's just sweet. That's romance. I love that. So, yeah, I mean, look, they're going to have good times. We're not going to see them. It's not part of television.
All off screen. What a great 3 months. But how could you? Smack. Let me ask you a question on this, Carl. Homeboys Now Space. If someone gave you the proposition to go 1,000 years in the future, do you take the bait or do you say no?
Oh, that's a tough question because honestly, I really kind of love my life.
No, I'm just kidding.
If you had asked me in my late 20s, my mid 20s, actually before I met my wife, ding, I might have said yes. I mean, if you said that we could be like Stamets and Culber, and you're like, oh, you and your wife can go, 1,000 years in the future. I don't know, maybe. Yeah. I'm sure she'd miss her family. I wouldn't miss mine.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You got to remember, it's as if they all died.
Yeah. So
they're doing their goodbye messages to everybody, and they realize it's done. You will not unring this bell. It's as if everyone expired in this big battle, and that's pretty sad. That's pretty hard to do to your family. And they kind of like make it okay for Saru because his sister, I have this in my notes, his sister is a small town girl in a fishing village, and oh no, wait a minute, now she's a fighter pilot, a very good one too, because she survives this huge battle.
Well, city folk can go to flight school. Hello. I don't know. I have no idea who goes to flight school.
So is this something I never understood about Kelpians, which is learning about space and technical things and science is super easy for them? Did I just never understand that?
I feel like it's something that they can take to, but they've been so forced to not take that information that when the floodgates are open, it's like a sponge. Like, oh, give me everything, Well, like with the first day you break your diet, you're like, burgers and pizza too. This is great.
I ate at Jack in the Box last night, so I know.
Oh man, jealous.
Oh, dude, it was awful. It's enjoyable but awful. Oh,
that is a tagline for Jack in the Box. It's enjoyable but awful.
And Uber delivers it now, so hey, there you go.
Right, why not?
I guess I had always assumed that Saru was unique in his ability to be so great at everything, to be a prodigy, if you will, at everything. But I guess his sister is too. Look, I'm complaining. I'm still happy they showed up. I'm still happy the Klingons brought the Ba'uls. That they've got all these ships to join the fight. It was really cool.
Oh, they're totally flaming in the chat for this. Dog food tacos 2 for $1. Joe Tassel says, that's your friend? Yikes. Because Marie says, yeah, burgers and pizza at the same time. I just had ice cream for breakfast. It was great.
Hell yes.
I'm
look, Jack in the Box tacos are not tacos.
Mm-mm.
They just call them tacos. So that's how I can eat them. And I did. I ate 2 of them last night.
Is there a fast food chain that you will not step foot into, like just on principle? Like, oh, I can't. Like, I am above Wiener Schnitzel or whatever.
And I love Wiener Schnitzel,
I've never
so
been.
I'll just I really recommend it. It's
I'll check it out.
quite good. Yeah, check it out. They've got tots. If I remember correctly,
Great.
I think they do fries, but they also do tater tots, and I kind of love that. Sonic does that too. I'm not a big one for actual old school McDonald's.
Oh, the OG, the Golden Arches that shows you that you're at safe harbor or where you go on the planet. A universal translator of fast food culinary excellence. The home of the grimace. Not a fan. That's fine.
Okay. I have to ask you this question. There's the character of Gus on the show Psych.
Yeah.
Played by Dule Hill.
Mhm.
And he at one point somebody says something about Grimace, and Gus says, "Hey, don't be talking down Grimace because he's a brother."
Yeah, absolutely.
Grimace is a black guy?
Yeah, everyone knew that. Yo, let's be real. Ronald was peach black white. The hamburger was a white dude. We don't know what that bird chick was doing. Grimace was chilling by himself in the corner, just happy to be there. Grimace is a brother, being 100% himself. Didn't have to dress a certain way. Just it's terrible.
Treated as a villain when they first met him, but then they realized that he was their friend, and then they stopped like being mean to him.
Had a straight street name, Grimace. Damn. Yo, we're Tiny and Grimace. We chill on the block.
That's one of my favorite things in the whole world is that Grimace is a black guy.
I thought everyone knew that. I really thought he was a brother in town.
I love it so much. Okay, yeah, well, it's canon. It's canon, folks. It's canon now.
Although when I was a kid, I was a fan of Mary McCheese. But Grimace is a brother.
Yeah, I mean, Mary McCheese clearly like a Kennedy, clearly like somebody whose entire family was in politics. I mean, he's not a good politician at all. He clearly got that,
He's the guy that made Billy Beer on the side. Joe also said, that McDonald's and Vulcan to be exactly the same on Earth. I don't know how they do it, but they make a Big Mac taste the same way from Duluth to Des Moines. The same thing. I've been in plenty of weird towns going, thank God there's fries.
Okay, so if Vulcan has McDonald's, then Romulus has Arby's?
Oh, they're evil. Absolutely evil. You can keep those meats. I have never been satisfied at an Arby's. I'm always like, this looks so good in the picture. Oh, God. The turnovers are good, though. I love the turnovers.
I mean, I was always a big one for Arby's, but you know me, I like the underdog.
Man, that cheese is like nuclear orange. But not the point of the show. Speaking about things we absolutely love. Right. Now we have 2 whole years of book. Where does Ash stack when it comes to Michael's experiences in romance?
Isn't that crazy? I mean, when you watch this, you're just still very much seeing the Ash and Burnham romance that existed in, I guess it's the first 2 seasons, right? It's both seasons.
Joe Townsend, stop. Joe Townsend says he's a spin-off fast food show developing. Let me get mad at John for shunning McDonald's.
Every week we're going to review and recap a fast food restaurant. I don't know. It could work.
Sure as I'll do it for Star Trek this week. So anyway, Burger King is so overrated.
But when you go back to Ash, like, there's that moment where they walk away, she's walking away and then she runs back and gives him the big kiss. And it's always so cute to me because she is so tiny and he is so tall. It just reminds me of almost every relationship I've ever had.
Yeah. It was also weird. Totally not about Star Trek, but Tinder. And that, I guess I'm new to this, but I didn't know there's so many ladies with height requirements. Now I'm 6 foot. So that doesn't bother me. But you see someone going, like, I'm 5'8", a man has to be taller. I was like, but what if he's a jerk? Doesn't care. He's tall. All right, fine, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, look, I loved tall women. I've always loved tall women, but it just never worked out with any of them. It was never going to happen. My wife is relatively tall. My wife's 5'8".
Yeah.
But most of my girlfriends were like 5'2", 5'4".
Awkward.
5'5" at the tallest, I think. And yeah, we look ridiculous walking side by side. It's true.
You're like 6'3", correct?
6'3", and honestly, I've shrunk a bit as I've gotten older. I used to be 6'4", almost 6'5".
Yeah, he was
So,
massive, the size of Sheamus or The Rock. But
or Triple H, if you listen to Triple H tell you how tall he is, because he claims he's like almost 6'5". No, he is not.
his lists were so thick. Even I knew back then he was lying to himself. My quote of the week, and I want your opinion on this, was when your boy Pike is going to be beamed down, and then your Joe goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm Taryn, and I'm from your universe, the Mirror Universe." And Pike goes, "Mirror Universe? What's that?" Wink. Thoughts about that?
I love that. I mean, I think we all knew coming out of Discovery season 2 at this point that they were going to do a Strange New World series. So Pike was going to have his own show, but I think we'd also been told that Section 31 was going to get their own show. I haven't heard any news lately about that, but I would bet it's still up in the air. And I really think they tried to put everybody in a position where they might be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Still, and we know that she goes to the future, Giorgio,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a whole debacle. That's a whole terrible thing that has to be solved.
Right.
And I believe she goes back in time. At that point, I think the Guardian of Forever, I'm giving it away.
Paul Guilfoyle. Yep. Lieutenant Brass from CSI,
Brass.
Las Vegas. Yep.
Right. I was really hoping by now we would have our Section 31 show. I honestly think it's doable. It's interesting. But yeah, we're going to have a lot of shows at once at this point. So I kind of get, we're going to hold that one off. But to answer your question, I do think that was one of my favorite moments in the whole thing, which was, that's just Pike. That's just classic Pike. Like, yeah, don't worry about that stuff. Ding.
Yeah, exactly. Very classic in the swashbuckling way. Almost, I don't want to compare him because they're so different, but the way Pike is portrayed to me reminds me of a very obscure show. But I'll just say Bruce Campbell. But people always ask, "Do you mean like Ash Bruce Campbell or Burner was Bruce Campbell?" Like, no, Jack of all trades Bruce Campbell. When he was playing that swashbuckling pirate, he didn't know what the heck was going on. Very like, oh, barrel chest kind of thing.
I have recently been watching The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Wow, ABC.
Fox. It was a Fox show, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think it was a Fox show. And I think they only went 13 episodes. It's right. Out there. You can find it out there. I think it might be on Tubi. But it's a very I love that, devil may care, dashing, square-jawed hero. And yes, Bruce Campbell does a very good version of that.
What's interesting about John and I is that since I grew up in the 90s and I didn't have cable, I watch a lot of obscure television. Because when I think of barrel-chested heroes, Jack of all trades, remember Captain Zoom? Like, these are things that no one really talk about.
Yeah.
And we have even more of that. Shout out to UPN and First Syndication and Fox. But yeah, so as we land this plane, this USS PostShow, this season, this episode for the end of season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, was there any moment in particular that stuck out for you as makes you go, oh my gosh, what popped to you this week?
I really loved seeing the Enterprise. I know that's like super obvious. Like, well, of course you're going to love the Enterprise. You're going to love when they play the little, the music is playing. Then all of a sudden you hear a little, like all that stuff just rubs my fur the right way, just makes me really, I know that's a weird thing to say. It just makes me really happy. So that happiness has been in my heart, burning like a little flame, ready for Strange New Worlds to begin. I am so stoked for next week because we're going to get to see an Enterprise, not the Enterprise, but an Enterprise. And we're going to see an Enterprise crew. We're going to get to see Nurse Chapel, Uhura. There's going to be a lot of characters that had been introduced in the first series. And I love the fact that that Majel Barrett played number 1 and Nurse Chapel. And each of them is a character on the show.
That's pretty cool.
That entertains me to no end. That, basically Majel Barrett's doing 2 parts.
Kind of a small note. I do like the fact that the Enterprise has a different like sound. It goes like it's space. It shouldn't have a sound at all, but it's like it's pretty cool. It makes you feel like you're a different thing, different sound palette. Let's talk about more that. Yeah, let's talk about this more on Starbase 80 this weekend as we go through the short tracks about that. But
Absolutely.
I do like the fact there's a different color palette. There's no holograms because we hate holograms all of a sudden. Whatever.
View
screens. Okay, because this guy doesn't like them. Does that even work in the military? I hate those uniforms. Change them. That's not how. Okay. All right.
Well, Starfleet is really weird that way. Like, especially when you look in the original series. Like, I hadn't noticed this till you and I started doing these shows, that they all have different insignias.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're used to, the crest that we're used to of Star Trek, that's not uniform for every other ship. Every other ship has their own kind of, insignia. So it's cool that we're going back to the original there. You're going to see a lot of stuff you're used to seeing. The variations on the costumes are great too.
Yeah, I feel like there's been so many different uniforms in different shows, even with Prodigy getting their own. And I still think, man, Star Trek 2, woo, the little naval collar, the sea shanty fisherman's friend look, totally about that. I want to do that for Halloween this year.
I think that's so funny. Those giant like that. Look, man, I get hot. Okay, there's a reason why I wear tank tops all the time. I get hot. That would be murder for me. I would rather wear the orange zip up jumpsuit.
Oh gosh,
than that thing.
Yeah, I'll get you the Enterprise jumpsuit instead. It's been a long. I've got. Okay, now time for us to get out of here. I'm singing. I'm not even been drinking, guys. I'm already singing off key. This is Commander's Log, your one-stop shop for Strange New World Discovery content. Strange New Worlds debuts next week. I can't wait. Captain John, we got to get out of here because you got a show just momentarily talking about that Picarder. If anyone want to get with you, hook up with you. I mean, not that way, but hook up with you digitally for the show. How to go about doing that?
And that's a lot more likely. You will find us at Starbase 80 on Facebook. You will find us at Weber Internet Thingy on Facebook and also on YouTube. Please drop by. Our brand new shows go up all the time. And you're very welcome, Kirsten.
If you listen to the audio version of the show, Commander's Log, leave us 5 stars on that Spotify and that Apple Podcast. But Captain, until next time, say the words.
LLAP, babies.
Oh, I get it.